Welcome to AT Insider. My name's Eleanor, and in this video, I'm going to be reviewing Learning Ally. Learning Ally is an audiobook platform with access to over 80,000 titles, and uniquely, it is human narrated, meaning humans are reading all of the books instead of a robot. Another cool fact about Learning Ally, which makes it so impressive, is that 65% of their content is curriculum-based, meaning it's either textbooks or other literature that is necessary in a curriculum, which is unique to Learning Ally instead of other audiobook platforms. So let's get into price and how you can download Learning Ally. Let's get into the price. Learning Ally costs $135 a year on a subscription basis, but there is a caveat, and a big one. To download Learning Ally, you must have a documented disability, either a learning disability, a physical disability, or a visual impairment. Not just anyone can download Learning Ally. You need to have a documented disability. So that may be a challenge for some people who don't have documentation but still need to use this critical resource. So let's get into where you can use and download Learning Ally. Learning Ally is a website, so you can use it on a PC, Mac, Chromebook, iOS, or Android. There's also both an app on the Google Play Store and on the Apple Play Store. So we're now in Learning Ally, but before I go into an actual book and show you all the cool things Learning Ally has to offer, I want to go over the content Learning Ally has very briefly. So as I said before, and I'll say it again, 65% of Learning Ally's content is curriculum-based. So either textbooks or other literature necessary in a curriculum. And I think a cool example of that happened to me earlier this year. So I needed an audiobook format of a biology textbook. And I looked at a bunch of different audiobook platforms and I couldn't find it. But when I came to Learning Ally and I looked up that specific biology textbook, I saw the textbook in a bunch of different variations. And this is, again, unique to Learning Ally. And I think it is a large pro for Learning Ally is that it has these textbooks that aren't available on other audiobook platforms. And again, there are over 80,000 books. So Learning Ally probably has the book you need or the book you want. And personally, I've never had an issue with Learning Ally not having a book that I've needed or wanted to read. All right, so without further ado, let's jump into a book and see how Learning Ally works. Right, so we're now in a book, specifically Cat's Cradle, and before I show you the magnum opus of Learning Ally, which is the human-read narration, I want to briefly go over some of the settings. So of course the book is broken down into both chapter segments and pages, and of course in the settings you can change the volume, the speed or the pace of the narration, and in the text you can change the size, the spacing of both the text and the paragraphs. You can also change the color of the text, the highlighting of the text, and the highlighting of the text bar that moves along as you're reading. There's one more thing that I want to show you, again, before we get into the human-read narration, which is the annotation feature. So let's say you want to annotate for either an assignment or just for yourself. You can actually annotate directly in Learning Ally. So you just highlight what you want to annotate, and you just click this button up here, and you can add your notes. So notes, and you just save that. So you'll see here I've actually had a variety of annotations for this book because I actually read it. And you can go here and you can come to your bookmarks or your notes, they're the same thing. And you can see all of the annotations that you've made. And so you can see here, you can edit it, delete it, or, which is pretty cool, you can share it. So if you want to keep this annotation or you want to turn it in, you can actually send your annotation via mail and you can save it and copy it to either a Google Doc or you can print it or whatever you need to do with it. And so I think that's a pretty cool feature. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the human-read narration. I'm going to play it at both a regular speed and a speed that's a little bit faster so you can see how the narration is warped. So I'm going to start here at just a regular speed without any pace change.
Newt certainly did what was called for. I couldn't agree more, I told Newt, and I snarled at Angela and Frank. Now that we've got Newt's opinion, I'd like to hear what you two have to say. Ugh, said Angela, cringing, her tongue out.
So you can see the human-read narration actually changes the tone to play the different characters. And now we'll see that human-read narration at a quicker pace.
She was the color of putty. Are those your sentiments too? I asked Frank. Uck, General, is that what you say?
And then we'll hear it at a slower pace. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but we'll check it out anyways.
Frank had his teeth bared, and his teeth were clenched, and he was breathing shallowly and whistlingly between them.
So that's the human read narration. You can see that the tone and the intonation of the voice actually changes, which I think is pretty cool and helps you be immersed in the book. All right, so that's the review. Now let's get into some pros and cons. All right, let's get into pros. The first pro, and for me, the biggest pro, is the human read narration. I have access to a couple of different audiobook platforms, but I always turn to Learning Ally, and that is because of the human read narration. It is amazing. While it is okay to be read to by a robot, it's sometimes difficult to be immersed in content when the thing reading to you can't properly show tone. So I love the human read narration. Another great pro is the catalog with over 80,000 titles. And critically, most of those titles, 65%, are curriculum-based titles, meaning textbooks, study guides, or other literature in a curriculum, which is different from other audiobook platforms. Another great pro is the annotations. I, again, have used some other audiobook platforms, but I think the annotations in Learning Ally are the most seamless. You can just add an annotation, type it, it'll be saved under your bookmarks, and then you can even export those annotations if you need them for a class. Another great pro is just the seamless nature of the entire app. I love how you see how much you've read, pause, play, skip, pace, rate, all of that stuff is super easy. And while that is seen in most other audiobook platforms, Learning Ally has it down, and so you won't have any problems with the minutia of the app. All right, let's get into cons. There are two large cons. The first and the largest con is the necessary documentation. I think it's a large setback and a really big roadblock. A lot of people have disabilities but don't have proper documentation for a variety of reasons. So it's a large hurdle that people have to get over to use the amazing resource that is Learning Ally. So I think that is a large con. The second con, and the pretty obvious con, is that it's $135 a year. That's a lot. I mean, other audiobook platforms range in price, but Learning Ally is kind of up there. All right, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, smash all the buttons below. If you want to see more of my content in a more in-depth and written style, you can check out my website, which will be linked in the description. If you want to see the rest of my video catalog, you can either go to my website or just go to my channel. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great day.